Hi, it's Violet, and it's time for you to get everything you want, which, by the way, is already yours, but you already know this if you're not new to my channel. So, I wanted to make this video about ways to know if someone is for you. Because I feel like I just watch so many TikToks and just so many things, and even like the friendships that I have and clients that I coach, people are always just, relationships are the hardest things, right? And let's be honest, a lot of us would be totally fine just living in our homes, like not interacting with anyone. Like we don't need to fucking talk to anyone. But we all know that this reality is a place to play and experience. So that's what we do, right? We connect with people and we hope that we'll find love. And like it just seems super hella complicated lately with the way the world is. So anyway, how many times did somebody get you fucked up, right? Like it's always relationships that get you fucked up. And so many times, whether it's like not even just in relationships, but even a friendship or family stuff. But I definitely want to stick to the topic of relationships today. So, anyway, this video is 5 ways to know if somebody's energy is a good fit for you. Because a lot of times I feel like we're looking at words on a screen, right? And some people actually fall in love with words on the screen, and you think you know someone. And anyone can really say anything to you, and it doesn't mean a fucking thing. Really, you want to watch for what someone's doing. And I think we can like forget that, right? Because like you see a lot of the stuff on TikTok where people are like, oh my God, they said this and they said this and they said this and then they did this. And it's like, yeah, the problem was you were looking at what they said. And you might already know this because it really doesn't mean anything, right? Like you want to watch what someone's doing. But you need to remind yourself that just actions are the only thing that matter and consistency is all that matters. And you really have to put yourself on a pedestal and never come off of it. Like learn to let people meet you where you are. Stop abandoning yourself and settling. You need to stay on your pedestal. And you can only really stay on your pedestal and keep yourself held in this high regard when you actually know who you are and you know what you want. But you have to be clear and intentional about that. You have to get clear on what do you want and where have you been? Like, where did you come from in the past, and where do you want to go now? Because listen to me and really hear this. When you are clear, there can be no confusion. And I want to burn that into your psyche. When you are clear, there will be no confusion. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are out here, don't have good intentions for you. They want to play games or they don't have their shit together. And you need to protect yourself. So if you are clear, you will not be led astray. You will not be confused because you will be like, okay, that is not for me. There just will not be any conclusion or illusions or anything. And you need to really protect your peace and your energy and your heart by getting clear and intentional. So no more fucking around. Like you need to start valuing yourself. And I really think after every relationship that ends or every situationship or whatever, even in the middle, you should get clear and work on, what are you struggling with? Like what patterns are you repeating? Like what should you be thinking about for your next relationship? Like what went well? What didn't go well? Like really have a fucking review with yourself and get honest, because this is the only way you can grow. Like don't just jump into something else and be like, YOLO, because you're the only one that's going to get hurt. So like I really encourage you to work on like, your self-concept, like how you see yourself, the beliefs that you have about yourself, because that's a direct reflection of how people are going to treat you and what people are going to think that they can do with you or not do without you. And look at your self-esteem, look at your self-confidence, look at your self-love, like dive into shadow work. Like it's really important to know your subconscious and what's in there and what's going on and what's being shown to you in the world. Because you don't want to be repeating, and what happens is like dating the same person in different people. And that is like a you problem. There's something in you that needs to be healed and shifted or like reprogrammed, And I know like in the past for me, one of the like biggest disappointing moments, I was like, why the fuck do I keep repeating this pattern? Like, what is happening here? Like, this is honestly bullshit. Like, I should know better. And then finally I was able to admit it and work on it. And sometimes like admitting it is like 90% of like shifting it, just being aware that it's happening. So like value and love yourself so you can at least be aware and get out of the patterns that are weighing you down and getting you into this like story where you're like, everyone's like this or this always happens. And like, that's a dangerous place to be because that's like just being in a situation where you're not going to manifest the person that you want because you're holding on to stories that are not supporting you being with the best person. If you think like everyone's always this way or this keeps happening and that's not what you want to happen, it's not going to work out for you. And I will say that if you grew up, I think most of us here and there disconnected from your own feelings and your own intuition, you probably don't have a clear picture of what connection and respect looks like. Or maybe but it's really hard when you're actually like interacting with someone, or you just tolerate bad behavior from people. And the worst is when they do not take responsibility for their actions. Like they just either gaslight you or they just ignore what you're saying and they try to like flip it on you or whatever the fuck is happening, whatever the I almost said fucktastic, but that wouldn't be like, it's meant to be a bad thing, not a good thing. So not everyone's going to be positive and compatible with your energy, and they may not even have the best intentions, but here are the 5 ways for you to know. And the biggest one is intuition. Let's start with that. Like, your body is going to tell you what someone is about, and it's never going to lie. And this is the biggest one. And I think people get confused, like, well, what is my intuition? What does my intuition feels like? Like, everyone's intuition feels different. But what it feels like for me is, it could be a message I don't want to hear, but it's still comforting. You know what I mean? And it can also feel like safety and expansion and excitement, like you know you're on the right path. Like, if you're interacting with someone and you don't feel open, you feel like in a state of retraction, and you kind of just feel like, oh, I don't know, like I'm not really feeling like excited, and I'm just kind of feeling like, then that's like a sign that they're not for you. Practice understanding how intuition feels in your body, right? Like, think about certain conversations, certain relationships, start paying attention, because this will save your life. You know, like, a lot of things won't happen when you listen to your body. Like, for me, my stomach does this like punch down pain drop. It's kind of really weird. It's like being on a roller coaster. It's not like the stomach flip flop when you're turned on, not to be mistaken with like anything else. It's this punch down, like the way your stomach drops on a roller coaster. And every time I've ever felt that feeling, it's like someone was about to attack me. And this has happened like many times to me, where like bad vibes will be coming in, and it's almost like your brain cannot process, but your body already senses the energy and is giving you a signal. And so that's why it can feel confusing sometimes, like, oh, what's happening? Like, or you'll hear something, if you're clairaudient, like, oh, to do something, and you're like, oh, why am I hearing that? Is that me just thinking? And it's like, no. So basically, like, it's to keep you safe. Every time I felt that like punch down drop feeling, it's always like right before I got crashed into or had a car accident, or right before like a physical attack happened or a verbal attack. So practice feeling what your intuition feels like in your body. Like, pay attention to how your body feels around certain people, and be mindful, because that's going to be the biggest driver in like knowing if someone's for you or not. And then number 2 would be listening and communicating. Like, can they clearly communicate? Or do they run? Do they hide? Do they check out? Do they ghost? Like, any of those things are going to be problems. Like, do they listen to you? Can they understand? Like, can they comprehend what you're saying? Because if someone cannot communicate, this is going to make you sick over time, right? Because what happens is you start trying to explain yourself. And sometimes, like, you know, an abusive person, they know what you're saying. They just pretend that they're, you know, committed to misunderstanding you. And then other people might just have a dysfunction in communication, and they might not try to not understand you, but they just simply can't understand you. Like, they may not be where you are. So I think the biggest time and the biggest thing is, like, we don't see this until we start to have conflict, right? Once we have conflict, we're like, oh my God, like, we didn't know this. Because when things are easy, it's easy, right? But then when you have conflict, it's like the minute you ask a question or it gets a little heated or there's like a discussion, they may get triggered, emotional, and they go into defensive mode. And this is like trauma stored in the body. This is like when you have not done shadow work, you do not like have control of yourself. You're not regulated. You're, you know, in a state of not being regulated. And honestly, depending on whether it's abusive or not, it's really like really just gross behavior, right? Like, and usually it's the first signs of abuse. Like, you can watch, right? Like, I remember I was watching one of these ultimatum dating shows, and they were getting into this argument, and the guy was like mocking her. And I was like, oh my God, he's a fucking child. Like, why would you mock someone? He was being like really gross to this like really, you know, beautiful, like calm girl. And usually, like, when someone starts mocking you, it's them, you know, trying to project outward to make you feel small, to drain you. And it's like, if you can't handle a conversation, every single thing is going to be a fucking fight, and it's going to be like making you sick trying to fight to, you know, explain something to someone. And that's like a parasitic energy, and a parasitic energy is going to drain you. And if that person is hoping that you are someone who feels like you want to explain things, that you feel worthless, that you're going to give them all of your energy and time and attention to make sure they understand that you're right or to be understood. And like, honestly, you shouldn't fucking do that. Someone should understand basic respect and basic communication. And if not, they need to be in therapy and they need to heal. And you should end it as soon as you see that. And also, you need to heal, because on the other end, you are half of the equation. So if you're attracting that and you're entertaining that and there's a resonance, there's some sort of like connection that's going on between you and them, where you both need to work through your shit. Because once that ends, there will be no more like charge or conflict. And number 3, do they have your best intentions at heart? Like, are they trustworthy? So there's this trance song called Lies Cost Nothing at All. And it's one of my favorite songs because it's a really good song. And it always reminds me like that anyone can lie, anyone can talk, but can they actually show you? And when they show you, can they be consistent? Because consistency shows their true intentions. It shows that they value you. But it's good to just let people run their mouth and watch and see, what are they going to show you? Because if someone has your best intentions, they do respect and value you. And you can see that they want you to be happy. Like they're taking the time to be consistent and to put effort in. But people just want to talk and they think like, oh, it's great. Like what the fuck does talking do about with anything for anyone? It doesn't do anything, you know? And a person that wants to see you happy, that values you and respects you is not going to be a problem in your life. They will not be fucking draining you. They will not be behaving like that. So really remember that the next time you're like confused or you're not seeing any type of consistency or they're not actually doing anything. They're just like, remind yourself, like you're just putting words on a screen. Like that's all that is. And then number 4 would be, do they understand boundaries? Like you ever get those people, like when you don't answer a message, you're just like living your life. They send like question marks in your mind. You're like, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with this person? Like it's so obnoxious. Or like, you're not texting back and then instead of like the question marks, the phone rings, or the question marks and then the phone rings and then you're more like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, it's like, or you tell someone not to speak to you in a certain way and they keep doing it and they already know that it bothers you or it hurts you. It's like, why the fuck are you not understanding this? And you, again, need to be in a space where you value yourself and you're healed and you don't explain it. You don't get it, just cut them the fuck off. You don't get it, you don't cut them. You're not their mom, you're not their teacher. Like, cut them the fuck off. Because you know what? Ultimately, they don't have their shit together. And they either enjoy acting stupid or they don't get it. And maybe they'll be one of those people that never get it because they don't do any, self-work. Then they're not conscious. Like, whatever the issue is, like, those people are a fuck no. Especially if you tell someone, like, this is not okay and they keep doing it. Just remind yourself that they do not respect you. They do not give a fuck what you want or what you think. So you got to go, deeper and really look at, are you respecting yourselves? And ask about, for every person that you meet that you're going to be maybe considering as a potential relationship, ask like, do they respect themselves? Because if they don't, they're not going to respect you. Do they take care of themselves? No, then they're probably not going to take care of you. What one cannot give to themselves, they cannot give to you. And it seems so obvious, but like you have to ask yourself these things. Because a lot of people, like, you want someone to go really deep with, but have they gone deep with themselves? They cannot offer that to you. So it's like it really comes down to how deep someone's gone with themselves or like how spiritual or are they working on themselves, because what they cannot give to themselves, they will not give to you. And lastly, number 5, the most important one, how do you feel after being with them? Are you feeling drained? Are you feeling confused? Because like if you are, that's going to be a fuck no. Because there are plenty of people that can fuck you up and life is way too short for you to be wasting your magic on bullshit. And my dad always told me, you can do bad by yourself. You don't need that shit. And there's no reason that you should let anyone drag you down. Like the world is so insane already. You need a partner who's going to be there for you and lift you up and make you feel expanded and happy. If not, you just let them go. This is an infinite universe. And I swear, as soon as one person leaves, 10 more enter. This has been like my experience my entire life, that every time I have let go of something and opened the space, so many new people have like come into that space and have always been better than the last person that I had to let go. So if you struggle with any of these things, because we all do, right? These are all like life things. Please be kind to yourself. Relationships in relationship to yourself is one of the hardest things to sort out. You're sorting out what someone else is about, what you're about together, how you interact, is it flowing? Is it not flowing? Like you'll get to a point where not much will affect you in this world, but there will always be lessons in relationships and in death, because you can learn so much about relationships through the relationship. You'll learn about yourself. You'll learn about life. You'll learn about others. And it can be easy. I know, like when you have a lot of heartache and heartbreak and like bad situations, to give up and be like, oh, I'm done dating, or I'm going to hide in my house. But please do not do this. Like, please do not get stuck hiding and like not interacting and sitting on the bench and going inside. Like growth is waiting for you. And a part of growth is being uncomfortable through learning and developing and experiencing. And the thing is, the more you work on yourself, the better the people that you attract will be, because you don't tolerate certain things, and you have to shut it down. And so you'll just get used to being who you really are and knowing what you want. And I also want to mention that I've said in my other videos that you may have a few soulmates over your life, or there's just going to be one person for you. And you need to be aware that you're going to meet many people that are not for you, But I don't want you to fear that you're not going to meet the one, because I know it can be disheartening and it can be like, oh my God, everything just seems to not be working out. And you're yearning so deeply for things to work out for that one, but it just may not be the right time because there are other things, for you to learn and experience before you meet that one. But in the meantime, you need to find your own happiness, and you need to find your own sense of adventure and calm and sing your song and live your life until the one that is for you will come. Because in this reality, through marketing, through all the things that were programmed, they want you to think there's something wrong with you. They want you to think there's something wrong with you unless you're loved by another. And that's a lie. That is a fucking lie. I feel like this is the Maury show, right? When they reveal the truth, like, that is not the baby daddy. Well, this is a fucking lie. You are a whole and complete and magical person. There will never be another you. And all your beauty and chaos and flaws and who you are and your adventure, there's only one you. And you're amazing. Even though there are things you might not like about yourself, you're still fucking amazing. And even though there's things that you don't like about yourself or you're struggling to forgive yourself for, you still deserve love, and you deserve your own attention and self-love first before anyone comes into your life to share that with you. So learn what you need to learn and keep moving forward. Forgive yourself for when you didn't know, and get clear on what you actually want, and say fuck you to everything that is not what you want, and keep the space open because you deserve everything. And every day, I hope you fall more in love with yourself and your life and your friends and the adventure that you're on. And imagine a red string connected to your person. And as you walk and move through your day, imagine them getting closer to you. And above all, use your energy to create consciously, for you are so magical and powerful. And I love you, and I see you. And I'm proud of how you're working it out every fucking day. And if you want to work with me, send me a message at v@violetblack.com.